Good morning out there, everyone. Hope you're weathering the storm. Very good. Thought I'd come on here this morning and see how everybody was doing. Hope you don't have any power outages as of this time. Make sure I can find you here. And there we are. As you all saw there yesterday, since I know this is early and I didn't schedule this, I did a video yesterday about leaving your vehicle and building a survival fire, and I got a pretty good response out of that. Had some people ask me some questions about what kind of stuff that they should have in their vehicle for in an emergency and things like that. So I thought that I would come on here and just do a live about it instead of doing another video about it. And of course, I got criticized for building a fire under a rock because that rock might just crack and bust, and I heat it up, might fall on me and kill me. Things I've been doing all my life for 70 some years now. So I just thought I'd come on here and have a discussion. If anybody's got any questions that they would like to ask this morning, there's people who will die in their vehicle before they will ever. I can't seem to get that to pull up on my phone this morning either, for whatever reason. Still can't get it to come up there. So I'll have to read you. Hello, I think that is James. Who else I got out there this morning? Some lady, I forget what her name is, asked me to, recommend some things to have in your backpack and things like that. But stored in your vehicle for emergencies. Let me see if I can get you guys pulled up. I don't understand why I can't get you pulled up on my phone here so I can read what you're saying. Now, outside right now, you all, it is 17 degrees and the wind is howling. So far, we haven't had any power outages. So let's see, here we are. Right here we go. Oh, zeros and Kenneth and Jason James. But like I say, a lady asked me what put it. For one thing, in dire emergencies, sometimes you're just going to have to leave that vehicle. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And if you, Rocky, we got 4 inches of snow and about a skim of ice right on top of that, is what we got. Now, locally here, I haven't heard of any power outages as of yet. So now that the wind chill factor is really cooking out there right now, the wind, you can't even open the door without it blowing it off the hinges. That's how hard it's gusting and blowing. So hopefully the trees will hang in there on that. We don't have a lot of ice on the trees down here in the lowlands. I noticed my brother sent me a picture from he lives in Marion, South Carolina. That's 40 miles from Myrtle Beach. And they had a glaze of ice all over the trees right down there at Marion, South Carolina. But anyway, let me get on with this before I lose my train of thought on it. So people won't leave their vehicle to survive. And every year, it'll happen this year as well. People will be stuck in that vehicle. They won't have any type of emergency clothing, blankets, nothing to survive with. Well, one guy said he'd never had a bottle of water ever freeze in his vehicle. Well, I've had bottles of water freeze in my vehicle, in my backpack, insulated that way, frozen solid. That's how cold it can get inside a vehicle. You may not be getting hit with any direct blast of air, but the ambient temperature around your vehicle will penetrate the vehicle, and it will be as cold in the vehicle as it is outside the vehicle. So without the proper thing. So what I'm going to say is this to the lady that asked me these things. For one thing, have good non-perishable food that you can eat without cooking that is high in calories. Food that you can just get it out and eat it, because that's going to, help your body retain your temperature. Emergency blankets, these little silver emergency blankets that you see people getting rolled up in emergency situations. I think James there can tell you some of this stuff. He's an emergency technician. One of the things that you'll see people wrapped up in is those emergency blankets. They can save your life, especially if you don't have any insulating clothes on. So keep those things in your vehicle, 4 or 5 of them or more. But you want to have water that you can drink, because that's one of the things that's going to help you survive being cold. Yes, drinking water, because you don't want to be dehydrated. If you've got non-perishable food to eat, you're going to want to have that water to drink it so that you don't get dehydrated. So one of the things that I used to do, I worked at ABB in Bland, Virginia for about 25 years on second shift. We would get off, and guys, I'm sorry to say, but this right here that's happening now, for some people who's never seen it before, it is really, to them, it's terrible. But this is nothing like it used to be. I'm just sorry to say. People up in Canada and places where it's cold all the time. My son lives in Wisconsin. It's 0 degrees all the time. They laugh at this kind of weather right here. But of course, people down here don't ever hardly see it. To them, it's a total emergency. And you get stuck in that vehicle, it is an emergency. So yesterday I did that video, got out of the vehicle, talked about what to do, went into the woods, found a rock overhang and built a fire under it, under those conditions. And that is one of the things that you can do. But if you will take let's just say a 40 below sleeping bag, spend the money on that sleeping bag, get you one of those sleeping bags that you can sleep in without a fire burning in your vehicle, or even outside under that rock that I was under there yesterday. Buy you one of those sleeping bags, put that thing in that vehicle and keep it in there in case of an emergency, because you can crawl in that sleeping bag and it can get 40 below 0 and you can still live inside there. But you got to remember, the longer you stay in that vehicle, the vehicle is going to start to ice up all inside because you're breathing in there, and the vehicle, the temperature, the air temperature around your vehicle is just freezing like a freezer, and it's going to begin to, frost up inside that vehicle. You can see plenty of stories on survival in terrible conditions where people have got off of the main road, and even in a four-wheel drive, they get stuck. They can't get out of the mountains, especially out in the Rockies. They get stuck. They can't get out of the vehicle. The snow is too deep, so they're stuck in there with their good gear on, but they are just about to die in that vehicle anyway, because eventually they run out of their food, they run out of their water, and they haven't been rescued. I've read stories where people were in there up to 10 and 20 days. But when they finally found them, the inside of the vehicle was a chunk of ice where they had breathed inside that vehicle that length of time. So definitely have that sleeping bag, those insulated layers of clothes that you can put on and take off if you need to keep yourself from getting too hot. Yeah, you can get too hot and sweat. And, you've watched these stupid Survivor Man videos. He's always saying you sweat, you die. Well, of course you sweat, you die if you get out there and overwork yourself and you continue in that condition, that sweat can freeze up. So, I've seen somebody commented yesterday on that video that I done. You shouldn't have built a fire under a rock. Well, they didn't pay very good attention to where I had that fire built, for one thing. The fire was built almost out from underneath the rock. I build fires under rock overhangs all the time. So I wasn't born yesterday. I was born about 72 years ago, almost 73 years ago. So that's just some of the things that people comment on. And there's always a know-it-all. Oh, no, don't never leave your vehicle. Well, somebody will come looking for you. Well, if it's snowing and they come up on your vehicle, they can probably track the direction you went. If you got a fire built, they'll probably see the smoke that's coming up from your campfire, because you won't go that far from your vehicle into the woods to where you can get a good fire built and get to surviving like the Indians did and like the cavemen did before these sissies that call themselves survivor men. There's a lot of sissies on YouTube. They couldn't survive out of their car more than 15 minutes in the woods. But yeah, they can survive in that car, and they know it all. Definitely carry multiple ways to start a fire. Rocky, we did not get very much ice, but we did get 4 inches of wet snow. And of course, there's people out here begging for it to snow on them. But there are people out there right now that are stuck somewhere in the snow that hasn't been rescued yet, I'll guarantee it. And some of them will not survive. They dig them out of vehicles every year, froze to death in their vehicle because they ran out of gas in that vehicle and they succumb to the elements. They dig them out of vehicles every year. So yes, be prepared to leave that vehicle. Have that survival gear in that vehicle and be prepared to get out of it. And like somebody said, you can start burning parts of your car. First thing I would do if I couldn't find anything else to set on fire, I'd take the spare tire out of it, take it somewhere away from that car, and I would set that tar on fire, and I'd have me a big old fire burning for a long time. And I guarantee you rescue people could see that fire burning. I'd burn that spare tar. What's up, Huckleberry? Black Mountain Outdoors. You got 15 inches of snow, man alive. James, I'm going to tell you something about dryer lint. A lot of people don't know this about dryer lint, but it's really not good to start a fire with. If you will notice, the stuff that you put in your dryer to make that dryer, those clothes smell good, is fireproof. That sticks to that dryer lint, and that dryer lint does not light up like I've tried it multiple different ways. It'll get a little flash on top of it, but don't carry dryer lint as something to start your fire with. One of the best things that you can do is to go downtown to the hardware store and get you some pure jute rope. I've got some about, I don't know, it's probably 3/4 of an inch. What I do with it is I will unravel the end of that jute rope, take a brush that you use for welding, a welder's brush, scrape the end of that jute rope with that brush until you get you a good wad of just pure jute. Pure jute has got its own oil still stirred in it, and it works excellent. You see me using it all the time to light a fire with the flint and the steel. Stop carrying that dad burned lint from your dryer around as a fire starter. It's pretty much useless. Cotton balls with Vaseline, somebody said yesterday on that video, you had Vaseline on them cotton balls. No, I did not. It's a good idea to have some Vaseline on some cotton balls because that will extend the burn. But I just carry plain old cotton balls. They light very quickly. You put it to your dry tinder and it catches it on fire. And I showed the fire extinguisher extender yesterday that I carry. See, that works. But you know what people do? They watched Survivor Man. Okay, they watched the other dude with the pigtails and his buddy from Ohio. And everybody's comes up with a way to start a fire and all that. And you watch it, people watch that stuff and they think that's the way to go. But you never see any of them out in the woods like I did yesterday, which I do it every year during a storm. I will go out there in the elements and show you how to build a fire. And I'm going to show you how to do it the best way that I can with what's there in the woods and what I've got in my survival pack. Yeah, Mike, you can use it when you're playing around at the house. You can use that stuff when you're playing around at the house. But when you're in the real woods and that fire has to be started, that better not be the only thing that you got with you to start that fire, because it don't work worth a hoot. Something fluffy that catches that spark. You've seen me do it. If you watch that video, go to the video I did yesterday about surviving the storm. I've got almost 20,000 views on it right now. Most of the people are saying really good things about that. And of course, you've got know-it-alls, people who watched Survivor Man, one of the biggest fakers on YouTube. The other show, the dude with the pigtails and his buddy from up in Ohio. Biggest fakers on YouTube and on television. Sorry to tell you, big fakers. If you watched that show, you could tell they was faking half of the stuff they were doing. They go out there and they're living in this ratty looking shelter they built with leaves and all that junk, and they spent the night in it. And they show them crawling out of it in the morning. there ain't a leaf on their clothes. Their clothes are perfectly clean. They ain't got none in their hair and stuff like that. You know good and well they're faking it. See who else has talked to me this morning. Bill's Mosfa. Yeah, dual survival. Big fakers. You know why they faked it? Now, you know, there's some people that don't know this stuff about me, you guys. When I first was on YouTube doing survival videos, if some of the old timers will remember me back when I first started, when YouTube was dial up, okay? I got multiple offers from television shows to do television shows just like Dual Survival. But you know why I didn't get that show? It's because I told them right up front I was not faking anything. Yes, sir. I had multiple offers. The very first one was the big one that they used to have on here. They probably still have it on. The one that comes on every season. What is it, you guys? Remember what it is, James? That I used to like to watch? Alone. They contacted me for the very first Alone show. That's before I had 200,000 views on YouTube. Mike. But since I wouldn't be faking anything, they didn't want me on that show. Many of them. So you get people, these television shows are all about how many views that they can get on the show and how many commercials they can sell on the show. And if you don't do what they want you to do on the show, I mean, that's what ended Dual Survival, Mr. Pigtails, according to what he said. They wanted him to jump in the water and get hypothermic, and he wouldn't do it. So, you know, the producer tells you what to do on the show. They set up the scenario. Well, if the scenario is stupid and a real survival expert ain't going to do stupid stuff, they just ain't going to do it, not even for the money. So that's just the way it goes. That's the reason those kind of things end. But you see them go through them stages. So they contacted me, and people don't know that about me, but yes, they sure did. And I didn't even have 200,000 views on YouTube. Mountain Man show, same way. The producers put those people in situations that looks horrific to the viewer and make them do things that they normally would not do as somebody with a brain in their pumpkin head. You see me doing things on YouTube. My buddy James there sees me doing a Huckleberry, and the people who watch me on a regular basis, they see me out in the elements doing the real thing all the time. If it comes a storm, I'm going to go out in that storm and do some survival video. It don't make no difference. I'll go out and do it because I like for people, just that one person who watches it, it catches on what I'm telling them. They will survive a real scenario. The rest of the people who'll go, well, he's just crazy. He's out there doing stuff he shouldn't be doing. Them people will never survive, not even in their own house. People freeze to death, people in their own house, because the fire goes out and they never had no preparations. So they sit there and freeze to death. They don't know what to do. But I didn't come on here to whine this morning or bitch. But I just come on here to make sure that if that lady watches this, that she will see that I'm saying insulated clothes that you can take on and take off, survival blankets. But a good 40 below zero sleeping bag was work wonders. And if you don't believe it, one of the very first videos I did on YouTube about staying out in the cold, I went out in January in a snowstorm in an old hunting shelter that I built, took a 40 below sleeping bag right at dark when it was miserably cold, got in that sleeping bag and stayed there until morning. There's a video on my channel. Go and watch it. I stayed in that sleeping bag. I did not build a fire. I tested that 40 below zero sleeping bag out. Got up the next morning. My boots were so cold that I could barely get them on. I left them outside the sleeping bag, but the snow was blowing. It was about 17 degrees. So I did that. I was not faking that. I was testing a 40 below zero sleeping bag to see if you could live in it all night long. And yes, you can. So you can live it in your house, and certainly you can live in it out there in your car. But if you don't have that 40 below sleeping bag, sooner or later, the lights is going to go out. You're going to freeze to death. James, tell them what the hypothermic temperature is, where it gets critical, where your eyes start getting blurry, and then you start to warm up right before, boom, you're dead on a doornail. Yep, sure enough. You can get out here in the mountains. This is absolutely crazy, but this is just the way it is. In June, you can get out here in the mountains and sleep in your car without a blanket and just about freeze. It'll get cold enough in that car at night after the sun goes down in the mountains in June to where you will be miserable. You'll want to get up and build yourself a fire or turn that car back on. What happens is people run out of gas in their car. They didn't have enough in it to survive through a storm. Something happens to the electrical system. They can't get it started anymore. They're driving around in one of these stupid battery-powered cars where the battery's not going to, with the heater turned on, the battery ain't going to last more than 3 or 4 hours. Duh. And then that's what happens to them. Running around in a battery-powered piece of junk. Cool, Mike. That's good. You had a good sleeping bag. You just insulated from the cold, plus it's storing your body heat on the inside. How many's ever been hypothermic? I have. I've been hypothermic before. You know when? When I was deer hunting without the right clothes on. Miles from anywhere. I can tell you one thing right now. You know what I done? I just built a fire. I got hypothermic really quick. But I've had hypothermia right there at the start of it. You're not critical, but when you start shivering till you can't hold your deer rifle no more, and your hands is frozen, your feet's freezing. I've had it happen to me. So you know what I do right there in the middle of the deer woods? I build me a bonfire. I don't care where it's at. Who we got here waving at me? Jason McAllister. Hey, Jason. Yeah, I know where Laurel Fork, Virginia is. So anybody else got any suggestions there? What else would you do? You've heard me blab about it there a few minutes. What would you carry in your vehicle? I've got an axe. I've got a handsaw because you ain't going to build. I mean, to get out here in the woods, you don't need a chainsaw. I mean, it'd be real convenient, but not really, unless you're trying to cut your way back out of the woods. I've got a good handsaw, a good axe, a tarp, and good insulated clothes, which I wear. And those clothes that people say, well, you didn't have on the clothes that went down past your behind. The clothes that I had on yesterday were given to me by that particular company, and they are 0 degrees clothes. They are really super warm. I could have sat out there without even building a fire and never got cold. So what's everybody else do? Yep, somebody was talking about them road flares. It's been a long time since I've ever had one in the vehicle. I used to keep them in there all the time, but I kept them in there for emergencies when people had an accident and I had to stop and help them. I would basically just flag the traffic till the emergency crew got there. But yeah, you can start a fire with one of them for sure. That's a good idea. Now, I've got some that they sent me. A company sent me, and they're emergency. Them things will actually burn under the water, and you just like pull them just like a flare. And some of you regular viewers have probably seen me start a fire with them before when I was advertising them for that particular company. They're actually, I believe they're phosphorus, is what they are. The main thing is, if you watch that video I done yesterday, is that wood that's up above that snow. It may be raining or snowing or sleeting or hailing, but them trees that's standing up, they got dry wood or semi-dry wood on them. You collect that wood for your fire. Pipes and stripes. Well, that's a good idea, buddy. Especially the Bible. Pepper spray. Never know when you'll have a bear come up and want to eat you while you're out there camping in the woods or you're carrying your fish around with you. That's for sure. But out there this morning, that little bit of snow fell there last night on top of this ice, and the wind is just whipping that stuff around like a whirlwind. And of course, you get people laughing at you. Like I said, up in Alaska and up in Canada and up in the northern panhandles and places like that, they call us crybabies when it snows down here. But I can tell you one thing: when I was a kid, it snowed in the 1950s. It snowed in October. You'd never see the ground on March. That's the way it was. And there wasn't none of this. You ain't going to school. We walked to school, and you was going to school. It wasn't none of this. Well, we ain't going today because it's too cold. The bus driver ain't going to run. No, When I was a kid, I like to tell those stories. My kids like to hear them. We walked to school barefooted in knee deep snow. And before that, my dad told me, of course, back in his days in the 20s, they were generally going to one room schoolhouses up some holler somewhere. Every holler had a schoolhouse up it. Well, whatever neighbor had a good horse would either take them kids and put them on a wagon and drag them to school. But Dad said one old man would hook a log to the horse. Didn't have a wagon, so he'd hook a log to the horse or a sled. And he'd cut a path through that deep snow with that log, and them kids would walk through that. They would walk up to that schoolhouse through that slice out of that where that log cut that its way through the snow. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, now it's just we can't go because it snowed. Years ago, they slapped the chains on the school bus and they come and got you. I don't remember very many times in the 1950s when a school bus did not run. Now, I do know this when I lived up on East River Mountain there, James. One year, the snow got so deep, and this is the honest truth. The snow was drifted so deep, up to 12 feet deep, that they brought the snow blower from the airport up there to clear the road. That's the only thing they could get up there was the snow blower from the airport. That's how they cleared that road. And I mean, it was deep. Hey, Terry, what's going on, buddy? Getting any snow over your way or ice? Yeah, common sense to tell you there, my buddy at Kipes and Stripes. Yeah. I don't always show a firearm on YouTube anymore, but I'm always packing. Okay. I spent three years down in Fayetteville, North Carolina when I was in the 82nd Airborne, and I only seen it snow down there one time. People down there didn't have a clue what to do. One time, I think it was like December, in right before I got out of the Army, it snowed about 2 inches down there at Fayetteville. Them people didn't have a clue. Good old Fort Bragg, yes, sir. 82nd Airborne. I want to be an airborne ranger. Yeah, I'd rather have the snow as the ice, too. Good old Vietnam. When I lived down there, it was the what did they call that place? It was the so I'll get it here just in a second. They had more bank robberies down there in a year than just about anywhere in the United States. Fayetteville, North Carolina. They had so many of them that they put bounties on their head. The governor had a bounty on them. Anybody could catch them. I mean, even a citizen could catch them. And if they resisted, too bad, too sad. Too bad, too sad. They put a bounty on their head, dead or alive. They stopped that stuff down there too. Now, these whiny babies now ain't going to do that. They'd rather let them kill and pillage and destroy as do anything with them. "1974, folks." Yeah, buddy. Way before your time, Huckleberry. Yes, sir. I'm older than you people out there. I'll bet you a nickel ain't nobody sitting there watching me 72 years old. Some guy watching me yesterday said, I'm 68. I cleared out a driveway 500 feet long. What he didn't tell you was he took his truck and pushed the stuff out. Guarantee he didn't shovel it out. Well, I shoveled my driveway out, and it's about 50 feet long. Then I went to the woods and done my video. There you go, Terry, 70. How long you been 70, Terry? 70 years, Mike, stupid. Oh, mercy. So you all pop up some good suggestions there in the comments on this live here. Once it goes unlive, go in there and put some suggestions in there about what you carry that people can read, and so that that I won't be the only one talking about it, because I ain't a know-it-all. I definitely don't know everything. So there's other people that knows how to do all kind of different things, that know how to survive in their climate. Lord have mercy, you can freeze to death in the desert. Let's see who said this. I remember when I turned 40. Boy, I thought I was old, Mike. But my grandpa, dad's dad, he lived to be 99 years old. He was sharp as a tack up when he was 99, too. 99 years old, grandpa. Let's see who's talking here. Butterfly Farms. Hello, Butterfly Farms. Good morning. Anybody got any other good suggestions before I let you folks go? I knew some of you get out of the bed this morning and watch me. Keep looking out the window to see how much snow's coming down. We're getting flurries out there now. But I got plenty of firewood. Probably a good day to fire the blacksmith shop up, too. I don't know yet. Warm that anvil up, James. James, don't go to work. It ain't no good for you. Huckleberry, I cook breakfast on that wood stove. And that's how we heat the house in the wintertime. We don't use electric heat. Although I got a little bit of electric heat down here in my room here. The main house upstairs, we use a wood stove all winter long. I get up about midnight, put some more wood in the stove, and get up about 5 o'clock and do it. But other than that, we stay warm. As long as you got wood to feed that heater, you stay warm. Well, thanks very much, Mike. Tennessee Smoky, we are live, buddy. Did you get some ice over at your house, buddy? That's my buddy, Tennessee Smoky. Hey, Smoky, tell them what to carry in their vehicle so that if they have to get out of it, they can stay safe. I needed you here about 30 minutes ago. We was just having a discussion. I know you watched my video. I saw your comment. And there were some people saying don't never leave your vehicle, and others saying, Mike, you done a good job, and others saying, Mike, you dumber than a dog brick. What do you suggest there, Smokey? I need you this morning, brother. Well, every day go. Hey, Michael Burner. I know you got some snow up there, buddy. Yeah, I got a bird feeder hanging out on a maple tree out there, and it's pretty good size. And I stocked it up, and them birds was in there yesterday. They're probably out there now, getting them some good stuff. Yeah, we just thought, Smokey, if you had something personal like this, like the good stuff, the good food that you'd carry, non-perishable stuff it can't freeze, stuff you don't have to cook, things like that. Huckleberry, I have tapped a maple tree. I've got a video on my channel about how to make maple syrup. Okay. You just have to go through there and find it. Sure do. I cooked down about 40 gallons of sap there one time and got about a quart of maple syrup out of it. Okay, Smokey, good deal. Like I say, I've always got my axe and my saw in the vehicle. A shelter tarp, of course. Good clothes, good insulated clothes. A lot of times I would carry like I said, now I gave my son the 40 below sleeping bag because he moved to Wisconsin, and I thought that in an emergency he might need that 40 below sleeping bag more than I did. So I gave it to him. So good heavy wool blankets would come in handy. Pack them in your vehicle, something to keep your body heat in. Yeah, I was thinking there, Huckleberry, about tapping that. I hadn't heard from Uncle Sasquatch this morning. It's a little bit early for Uncle Sasquatch too. Well, he might be watching, not saying anything, but I doubt it. They might have had power outages and internet too. We just got lucky. We got blessed by the good Lord because we hadn't had a power outage, and the internet did go out a couple of times last night. Now, somebody said they got a little bit of ice down in upper Mississippi. I guess Justin Peden didn't get none, did he? Anybody know? That'll make them sad down there. They didn't get no snow. And I know them folks over in Celebrate Appalachia. They got up, and I tell you what, they was so sad, especially Tipper. She didn't get no snow, bless her heart. But all she has to do is just drive about 50 or 60 miles somewhere, and she'll probably find something to go sleigh riding on. I pick on them people down there because she's always wanting snow. But I've got free stuff here. I'll give them. All they got to do is bring her tractor trailer up here. It don't cost them a penny. They can clean my backyard completely out. I don't want none. Yeah, I watched her video there last night. They put up our huckleberry. Yeah, I don't know about Uncle Sasquatch this morning. I hope it didn't freeze him to death. Turkby, good morning. Did you get any snow? Get any ice? And is everybody staying warm? Well, you all, I certainly enjoyed chatting with you all this morning. Tennessee Smoky, yeah, buddy. I use them things all the time. They're not very tough, but now if you want to store that body heat, that's one of the things you can do. Warm and humid in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Michael, I might fire the forge up. I'm working on a set of tools for fireplace, and I may go down there today and either do the poker or the shovel. I ain't made up my mind yet. It just depends. What's up, Troy? Yeah, you seen me make that trammel the other day, Smokey. I don't have a fireplace, by the way. I wish I had a house with a fireplace because I would cook in that thing like they did in colonial times. Yeah, it's cold out there, Michael. It's about 15 degrees, and it'll be that cold in that blacksmith shop too. I might get a little heat back from that forge, but other than that, cool, Kenneth. Man, keep that stuff up there, buddy. I don't want any down here. Yeah, it's Smoky. It's better to be prepared there than you know if you're not prepared, then you just don't know what's going on. You don't know what to do. Yeah, I was saying that a minute ago there, Kenneth. Back when I was young, about 72 years ago, it snowed like this all the time, every winter. And even worse, most of the time, a foot, 24 inches wasn't nothing to wake up and have that on the ground. And I did grow up on a farm too, you all. And we had stock, it had to be fed, hogs. And when I'm saying hogs, we raised hogs on that farm. We didn't own the farm, but we rented the house on the farm. And we had about 150 hogs. They had about 40 head of cattle, horses, all kind of stuff. So we raised the hogs to sell them on the market. So I grew up on that farm. I know what cold is. Yes, sir. I've lived here in the Appalachian Mountains all of my life, except for when I was in the Army. And the reason that people aren't prepared for this kind of stuff is they rarely ever see a snowstorm. So now the national television gets on there and everybody has to panic. They get in panic mode. Oh God, it's going to snow and nobody ain't going to be able to go nowhere. The airports is closed down. And Uncle Sam said this and Uncle Sammy said that. It makes me so sick to watch the news now, you all. It ain't even nowhere near funny. If you'll pay attention to the news, they want you to be frightened all the time about what's going on. They want you to be scared. Oh, everybody's got the flu, or everybody's got COVID, or everybody's bumped their head against a tree. Nobody can fly because, well, you know what? If you look out there for tomorrow and you know there's a snowstorm coming in 2 days and you decide to fly anyway, then that's up to you. Instead of saying, no, I ain't going. But any news, I don't care who they are now. I don't care if it's even Fox. You've got to be afraid of this. You need to be afraid of that. This is going to happen and that's going to happen. That's right, Smokey. Trust in the Lord. And I heard in Virginia now, anybody that lives in Virginia, one of the things they're going to do now, since they got the Democrats in charge, they're going to get rid of them gas leaf blowers. That's something that they got to get rid of, is a gas leaf blower to start with. And you know why they do that stuff? Because the people who are going to supply the other blowers, the electric ones, they got them in their pocket. They're saying, hey, if you will tell everybody to get rid of them gas blowers and make it a law, we will supply the other blower, which is the battery powered ones. And that's how that political stuff works. Hey, we'll give you a whole bunch of money if you'll just make a law that says nobody can use their gas vehicles anymore. We will supply them other vehicles. Matter of fact, we'll give you a new one if you'll just get them laws passed. That's the way politics works, people. Everybody's got to panic. Oh, we can't breathe anymore. Somebody's using a gas-powered chainsaw. You know what's going on, don't you? Of course, you know the history. What did the man who supplied the oil lamps, you ever watch that, of how America was made or born or whatever that show was? Uh, the big oil man, he was tore completely to shreds and all up in the air because he was making billions of dollars selling oil for oil lamps. When along come Thomas Edison and said, shoot, man, I got a better idea. Let's don't burn that stuff anymore. Let's just use the light bulbs that you're using in your house right now. So the man who was supplying that stuff, he saw his business waning after he'd done made billions of dollars. He wanted billions more. He didn't want that to happen. So it's the person who's going to supply the next so-called convenient thing for you to use is who's in political pockets of the people. You think Elon Musk ain't in political pockets? You daggone right he is. If you could get rid of all gas-powered cars, then he's going to be the man that supplies the stuff. He's going to be way richer than he is now, ain't he? But that's the way it works in politics. Yeah. You pat me on the back, I'll pat you on the back, and so on. If you'll just get rid of gas-powered vehicles, I'll supply the replacements. Yeah, Rockefeller oil. There you go. I know somebody else watched that. Yeah, buddy, they was all up in arms. My God, we ain't going to be able to sell our oil anymore. I say this all the time, and I'll say this before I leave you all. What did God make dark for? You know good and well that God created the world. Why did he make 12 hours of darkness? Right quick, somebody tell me. Why did he make 12 hours of darkness? Why didn't he just leave it daylight all the time? He made that 12 hours of darkness so you'd get some rest and go to sleep. People lived a lot longer back in the older days. You know why? You know what doctors recommend now? Doctors recommend you get 8 hours of sleep. If you can get 8 hours of sleep, now you might be all right. But God made 12 hours of darkness so that you would sleep for 12 hours and not be up here on the internet, not having the light bulbs turned on, all that kind of stuff, staying up, and then wondering why you can't go to sleep when you want to go to sleep. People lived a lot longer and a better quality of life when they was sleeping them 12 hours. Poor old Thomas Edison come along, messed all that up. You know, even people sitting in front of a fireplace didn't stay up all night reading a book. And they surely didn't do it sitting there with a candle beside of them reading, selling pictures on the internet of people reading that with their candles. Yeah, you could read with a candle, but you'd be blinding a bat in a hailstorm when you got done. When it gets dark, turn the TV off, turn the telephone off, turn the computer off, and go to bed. That sleep time is when your body, this is fascinating. And you know how doctors find this stuff out. Your body is repairing itself while you're asleep. But if you don't ever go to sleep, how's it going to repair itself? Your brain's even repairing itself when you're not thinking with it. Did you know that? You're laying there in that deep sleep mode. You don't know anything. You might be in dream world, but your body is repairing itself. It ain't eating. It ain't up looking around trying to figure out what's going on. Makes me want to get Thomas Edison up and slap him a little bit upside the head. Just think about all the places that wouldn't be all over the whole world. The drug stores, all these places wouldn't be up all night working. There wouldn't be all this stuff working all night long, night shift, second shift, and third shift, trying to make a couple more bucks. If people was at home taking them a big old long 12-hour nap. I'm all for that. And for goodness sakes, will some president figure it out? Leave the time alone. Leave, if it's 12 o'clock midnight, then leave the time alone. Spring up, fall back is a bunch of horse hockey. Leave the time alone. I get up early too, Michael, but I like to go to bed about 7:30 now before the sun goes down. Yes, sir. There was nothing open on Sunday. But you see what happens when people don't respect God's laws? See what's going on to your country because people don't respect God's laws? When they don't have any thoughts about that or anymore? No, we don't want to do that. We got to make money. So they just do whatever they want to whenever they want to do it. But they expect God to be there when they need him. Some of them do, and then other ones don't care, don't believe in God anyway. That's right, Michael. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Neither one of my grandparents, all of them born in the 1800s, never owned a vehicle. They had their own home that they paid for out of their own pocket, modest living, had their own little farm there where they farmed their food, had their cows and chickens and hogs, raised dozens of kids and grandkids. Some of them did. They did not die poor. Their monthly check that they got, some of them, wouldn't have been, they wouldn't have made $500 a year. Think about that. My grandfather Reed worked on the railroad, helped build some of the railroad, and made 25 cents a day from daylight till dark. 25 cents. But they did not die poor. They didn't own no vehicle, nothing. They farmed all their stuff. They died rich. You know why? Because they knew who Jesus Christ was. Yeah. You want to die rich? Which kind of rich do you want to be? In things, bank accounts, coins, gold and silver? Or do you want to wake up when you die in glory? That'd be a good sermon, wouldn't it? Which one do you want to do? Do you want when you die and you go to that graveyard, do you want to wake up in heaven? Or do you want to be buried down here with all the junk that you accumulated in your life and piled on top of you? Elon Musk may not believe in God. I don't know what he believes. But one day he'll die just like the poorest man here on earth, and he'll not take a dollar bill with him nowhere. He will stand before the same God you and I will. Amen, Brother Mike. Hello, Larry. But you all, I'm going to run. I'm going to let you go. I just thought I'd knew that some of my favorite people would be in here this morning and have a little chat with me. So if you don't mind, you all, when this thing goes up on, they'll turn this into a video on live. If you'll share it for me, I'd appreciate it. I'm gonna get on out of here. I appreciate you joining in this morning. May the good Lord bless you guys. Until next time. So long for now. Stay warm, stay safe. I'll catch you on the next one.